This video is in direct reference to some of the comments that I received on my other mixing and mastering vocals tutorial, and I hope that I can answer some of the questions. Also, this is going to be a little bit of an update because over the last couple of weeks since I uploaded that other video, I actually learned a tremendous amount of new information, and it really helped me step up my game, so I thought that I would share that with you. This doesn't mean that the other video is outdated or of no use. By all means, I think that it's still a great video, and it's going to give you a good understanding of some of the basics that mixing and mastering does for your vocals. So I'm not saying to totally disregard what I said in the other video, but yeah, just keep in mind that I have learned a lot over the last couple of weeks. So I actually spent a tremendous amount of time learning some of these things that I've learned. I spent hours, you know, going through YouTube videos and reading blogs, and I felt like some of the stuff that I'm about to show you has actually been treated as like a secret in the music industry. I guess because just a few producers out there think that if they're going to share these secrets with you, it means that they're not going to make any money off of you coming into the studio and spending like hundreds of dollars to go in the studio and record, or even just send over the tracks to get the mix and master by them. Which I think is true, but I also think that everyone should just have access to the same information. So I'm going to show you all about that right now. So what I'm going to show you today is a track that I've been working on for a couple of days. It is by all means not done yet. This is about 50% of the full track, but I think it's still good enough to do this tutorial. So I'm just going to play a little part of it. Pay attention to the vocals just so you know that I actually have a valid understanding of what I'm doing. So here it goes.
I could feel around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a puppet of a man. I don't even know. Take my soul and cuff it, lock it up. Melt the key from the metal, make a button. I could wear it on my pocket just to know it ain't forgotten. I was brought up with the thought I could find a golden treasure that could solve all of my problems, but this life just doesn't measure. But in time I'ma make $1 million and then give it all away again to prove it all a bluff. Put it in perspective.
Okay, so basically that's it. Now I'm going to show you what I did with it. So in my last video I talked about how to use an equalizer and to use Fruity's built-in limiter as a compressor for your vocals. Basically I'm still doing the same thing here. I'm using my basic equalizers, and there's two right now, but I'll get to that in a second, and I'm still using my limiter just like in the last tutorial. In addition to that, I'm using Spitfish as a de-esser plugin just to get rid of the harshness of some of the sibilants. I can never pronounce that word properly, but it's basically the harsh S sounds that you're hearing in your recordings that you don't really want. Also, I'm using a Fruity filter. We'll get to that in a second as well, and a delay. So basically the only difference in equalizers is I'm still using parametric EQ, but as you can see I'm using two. One of them, the first one is going to look like this, and the second one is going to look like this. So basically with the first one, I'm drowning out all the frequencies that I don't want, and with the second one, I'm boosting all the frequencies that I do want. So let me actually show you what I mean by that quick. So basically with the first one, I'm gonna start over new here, get a default preset. Just like with the other equalizer, I'm drowning out all the frequencies that my voice does not produce. So when I hit play on my vocal track,
and I can feel around me. I was taught when I was young
you can see that my vocals only go to about this frequency right around here, which is at about 136 Hertz. So to drown these out, I'm gonna right click on the number 1, hit order, steep 8, and then right click on the 1, go to type, and go to high pass. Basically I'm creating a high pass filter here, which basically means that anything below this line is getting drowned out. So now I'm gonna figure out what the exact frequency of my vocal range is.
And I can feel around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a puppet of a man.
Okay, so it's actually around here at about 174. Now the second thing that I do is I basically take one of these knobs and just drag it up here. When you scroll with your mouse button, you can put it a little bit narrower or a little bit wider. So I'm gonna put it a little bit narrower So basically, I'm looking for all the frequencies that sound really offending. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to hit play again.
I can feel it around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a puppet of a man. I don't even know. Take my soul and cuff it, lock it up. Melt the key from the metal, make a button. I could wear it on my pocket just to know it ain't forgotten. I was brought up with the thought.
So right around here at 491 hertz, and this is for my voice, for every voice, and for every vocal recording, this is going to be different, so it's important that you do this yourself. But for my vocal recording, right around 491 hertz, it just doesn't sit right in my ears when I'm listening to it. I can't really explain it, it just doesn't really sound good. So basically what I'm doing then, once I found one of those frequencies that I don't really like, I just go ahead and I said around 471, right? Or 78, whatever. Basically, I'm just dragging this exact frequency down, and then I'll go ahead and grab another knob and do the same thing and find a couple of those frequencies that I really don't like and just take them down by a couple of decibels. So basically, after spending a little bit of time on my vocals, I built myself a nice preset with all the offending frequencies that I really don't like. And basically this is what it looked like, and this is what I came up with. So I just saved it as a preset, and every time I record my vocals now with the same mic and with the same setup that I have, I can use this preset and be fairly confident that it's going to sound good. So the second parametric EQ that I'm using, I'm basically just using it to boost some of the lows, boost some of the mids, and also take up some of the highs. But again, you know, mess around with this a little bit yourself. Whatever sounds good for your voice sounds good. So I don't want you to copy my stuff 101, because it might not even be the right thing for your voice. So another thing that I wanted to talk about quick, but there's a lot of tutorials out there, and I'm pretty sure it's not that difficult to master, is Spitfish. It's basically the de-esser plugin. Basically just taking out some of the S's. Very simple plugin to use. The best thing about it is that it's free and it works. So basically the way Spitfish works, it finds syllabants in your audio recording, and then anytime it hits that certain frequency, it just kicks it down a couple decibels. The way I have it set up is right here, the tune basically detects where in your frequency range that sound is sitting. So for me, it's about here, but the way you can figure it out yourself is just hit the listen button and then press play on your vocals. And basically, it will then only play like the S sounds that it hears. Let me just turn up the send so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. So when you hit the listen button, it only plays those. It only plays the syllabants if you have it set up correctly. Let's say I turn it down a little bit and then hit play again. And now, now you can hear some of the other words that Spitfish is ducking down from the decibel level, which isn't correct. So you definitely want to set this knob up so that it's just the S sounds. Then with the sense, you're going to play around with it a little bit. You know, I have a pretty good microphone, so I like to keep it at a lower level, because basically the sense just dictates how hard it's going to impact your recording. And then the depth, I have it set as a pretty low level as well. The depth basically dictates how many decibels it's going to take away from your vocals. But Spitfish, it's a fairly easy plugin to use, so you should be able to figure it out yourself messing around with it. The Fruity limiter plugin that I'm using as a compressor, I haven't really changed anything about that, so if you want to figure out more about that, I'm going to blend in the link to my first video where you can check out me going over the compressor function of the Fruity limiter. Now, the Fruity filter, one of the main things that I wanted to show you, this is basically really where all the magic happens, because this is going to help you get your vocal a lot clearer. So bringing the Fruity filter up, you can see that I have the cutoff frequency all the way up, which means that it's not really doing a lot. The band pass, the high pass filter, the low pass, I just turned it up all the way. The ×2, I have it set to on. You could set it off and on here. The magic thing here is actually the resonance. The resonance, I cannot really explain what it is. I'm gonna have to be honest. I have done my research on the resonance, but I couldn't really find anything. So if any of you know what exactly the resonance does, please leave a comment because it would really interest me. But the best explanation I have for the resonance right now is basically it takes certain frequencies in the vocals and just boosts them. So yeah, this is the way I have the filter set up, and I'm gonna show you what the Fruity filter actually does and what kind of an impact the resonance has on your voice. So I'm gonna hit play, and this is the vocal sample with the Fruity filter on.
I could feel it around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was...
And when I turn it off, it's gonna sound like this.
I could feel it around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a...
So you should really be able to tell the difference on that one. I did turn down the effect level a little bit using this knob right here, because if you have the Fruity filter effect level up all the way, it's just gonna sound like crap. So listen to it again.
I could feel it around me. I was taught when...
So it's just basically doing way too much than it should. So I have it set about to a quarter, but again, this is gonna vary for every vocal. So, you know, set it up for the way that it sounds good for you. The third thing that's gonna have an impact on your vocals is a really soft delay that I used. Basically, what the delay does that I used is it just helps you widen your vocals a little bit more. The best way I could put it would be that it just gives your vocal more presence and more room. So I'm gonna hit play and give you a little bit of a comparison with and without it.
I could feel it around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no...
And I mean, you can barely hear it, but it just does help your vocal be a little bit more filled out. So I'm just gonna show you the way I have the delay set up. The pan, I have it over a little bit to the right. Basically just pans the vocal to any side of your stereo speaker. The volume, I have it at about the default setting. Default would be here, I just turned it down a little bit. Feedback, I have it set to P-Pong down here. My volume for the feedback effect is fairly low as well. My cut, I left it at the default. My time, I put it down to a very low time. And when I play it back, you're gonna be able to hear that.
I could feel it around me. I was taught when I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a puppet of a man. I don't even know. Take my soul and cuff it, lock it up. Melt the key from the metal, make a button I could wear.
Okay, so the time, I have it very low because it's just supposed to help my voice widen a little bit. The offset's pretty low as well, and the volume for the dry is set to normal as well. So mess around with that a little bit. You don't want it overpowering your vocal, but like I said, the Fruity delay is going to help you widen the vocal a little bit. I pretty much use it on all the vocals that I'm recording now. Now, to get to the master of the song, because some of the people have been criticizing what I do for the master, and I'm not to say that what I was doing back then was wrong, but I don't really do that anymore either. Basically, what I do to master a track is I use Maximus. There is one really great video. It's by this guy called John Miller. It's mastering vocals in FL Studio with Maximus, and he just explains it great. I mean, it is a 25-minute video, but it's definitely well worth checking it out if you're serious about your music. This guy does know what he's doing, so I'm gonna blend in a link for that. In my opinion, it's one of the best videos that you can find on mastering a track on the internet. So basically, I'm just gonna redirect you guys to his video, because pretty much that is what I am doing nowadays for all my songs.
When I was young that I could own what I could see, but I was wrong. Now I know that I'm no less than just a puppet of a man. I don't even know. Take my soul and cuff it, lock it up. Melt the key from the metal, make a button I could wear it on my pocket just to know it ain't forgotten. I was brought up with the thought I could find a golden treasure that could solve all of my problems, but this life just doesn't measure.